The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of Adventures into Reality. I am joined by my intrepid co-host, Kathy Ma. Welcome back to this beautiful, icy, sunny Monday morning.
Ooh, what an excellent welcome. It's great to be here, and certainly it is very crisp air, which is very invigorating.
That's right. Very invigorating. So how was your holiday celebrations of Thanksgiving?
It was fantastic. Really fantastic. I probably ended up eating 3 turkey lunches for Thanksgiving, which is great. We hosted one ourselves. I can't believe I could eat so much.
Families around the United States that are doing the exact same thing. They all had tryptophan overload.
Oh, I know. And I was telling some people about that, and they were shocked. I mean, a few people seem to know that, but a lot of people are like, really? I was thinking, oh, I'm not the only one who didn't know that about turkey.
Makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
The darker the meat, the more tryptophan.
Well, exactly. And it was great. I mean, I had a lot of, truly Americana type of things. Had sweet potato pie. What was that? Pecan pie.
Anything new for you to try? Have you tried anything new?
Well, I went to one place that had cranberry sauce, but the mother, had made it with cranberries, oranges, lemons, some other fruit and some sort of secret ingredient. I don't know what it was. She kept saying it was very simple, but I don't think it was that simple, but that was delicious. Whatever it was, I was thinking, oh, how do I get that recipe?
Exactly. How do I wrestle the recipe from her?
I know. No, I'm going to have to work my way up to my friend and then, butter him up to get to talk to his mom.
Yeah. To get the family secret recipe.
Oh, yeah.
It's like industrial espionage.
Exactly. Because we don't get stuff like that in Hong Kong or Australia. I mean, we have cranberry sauce, but not like that.
Yeah.
No. Mm.
Speaking about Hong Kong, you are going to be going there for some time, and you're going to be doing a live show from there one day, too.
Yes, that is true. It'll be very exciting. Of course, the time difference will be quite immense, but that's okay. So it'll be very exciting to do the show live from Hong Kong. And I'll be touching base with a lot of Hong Kong healers and feng shui masters. So hopefully over time we can get them to come onto the show and have a chit-chat with us.
It's showing you once again we are bringing you the international, intergalactic, interuniversal perspectives here.
I know. I mean, the world really is small.
It is. It's a giant, small world.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to be back in Hong Kong for Christmas, having not been there for a few Christmases and having American Christmases. Because, most places in Hong Kong, most apartments are too small to have a real tree. So here we go, I think it's the day after Thanksgiving, to go and get the Christmas tree. So this will be the first time that they haven't done that here because we're going to Hong Kong. And I already kind of miss it. I mean, I've only done it twice, but I'm already missing it. But in Hong Kong, you have to, be in a big club or something really to have a real tree. Otherwise, there's just no space. So it's the plastic trees for us.
Yes, every little space in Hong Kong has been made ready for business.
Yes, and Santa. We have a lot of Asian Santas over there.
Yeah.
It's really not the same because they're so small. Even with their, pillow or whatever stuffing around their tummy, you sort of look at them and think, you just don't look like Santa.
You're just missing something, guy. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, here you have everywhere that Santa's so accessible. Like, even go to the Home Depot, you walk in and there's Santa there taking pictures with you. I mean, in Hong Kong, you have to go to a shopping mall and line up for ages to get one picture of you and the Chinese Santa. Which is like, oh, I don't think I can post that picture anyway. It's not really Santa.
Very,
no
very
one's going to
nice.
believe it.
So I want to remind everyone, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com is listener supported. It is the largest listener supported station in the universe. Verse. Ha ha ha. In the United States, actually in the world. So if you are liking that type of format of completely 100% corporate free radio, stop on by that site support button and drop in a couple bucks to make sure the programming is always listener supported.
And also, for those of you that are interested in a private session and then want to go deeper with your questions with either Andrew or myself, go ahead and call the office now at area code 1 for America, then 360-894-0692, and they will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Yeah. What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life?
Yes, don't ask that question.
So, Kathy, we're going to be taking calls here at the bottom of the hour. Not for another 20 minutes. So everyone out there that's in your auto redial mode, just back off for a few minutes here, because Kathy and I want to talk about some things first.
Yes,
because there are already people making Steve's live unique.
And I guess this is the time to say, turn off your speakers.
Yes. Turn off your radio. Last Monday, we had a chaotic debacle of uniqueness.
Yes.
For the record, I like being unique. I just don't like it being a problem.
Chaotic.
Oh, no.
And there was nothing
chaos.
Steve could do about it. It was all call volume.
Yes.
So,
Well,
before we crash this system, again, remind everyone, you must understand you are calling a live radio show that has thousands and thousands and thousands of people listening to it. Please turn off your other radio player. If you're listening to freedomslips.com at Revolution Radio, there is a little player button that is a green and a red one. Hit the red one. You will be able to hear the conversation. You will also interact with it. That is why you must mute or not heavy breathe next to your phone or be walking in wind. We will have to hang up on you if you are one of those serial people that is calling in and rapid redial and not realizing you're muttering your curses that you're not on yet. Or going, hello, hello, hello. We want everyone to get in. That is why Kathy and I have decided to do this series on healing so that we can take calls on healing and people's processes therein. I can't tell you the amount of response that we've had privately and publicly about this show that is wanting to keep this format where the questions and answers flow. So we highly encourage people out there each and every Monday that you want to call in. Please make an attempt to call in and have your questions ready. What is it that you want to know, whether it's about your personal life or is it about something in business? Both Kathy and myself have areas of super specialty. Kathy with business and personal relationships, me with moving forward with shamanic studies and practices, as well as seeing the different forms of energy. Kathy has been a psychic for many, many years, was Hong Kong's best on their version of Time magazine. Is that right, Kathy?
yes. In fact, it is Time magazine, but they put a special issue out for the handover of Hong Kong,
Right.
which was very, very exciting. But yes, that is true.
So Kathy is very amazing also. So Kathy, what I would like to talk about for our next couple minutes before we go in is about Hong Kong itself. Like I said, you're going to be going there. And one of our earlier interviews, we talked about how the different rituals that are coming about, but Chinese New Year and its difference between American New Year. That's what I'd like to talk about right now.
Well, it is very different. Chinese New Year is the biggest time of the year in Asia. It's bigger than Ben-Hur. But
It's that damn big.
Yeah. It's a 3 to 4 day holiday, and everything shuts down. If you're talking just about in China, everything will shut down for 2 weeks. In Hong Kong, it'll shut down for 4 days. Of course, there are some restaurants and some shops open, but apart from that, everything is shut. And the first day is the day that you visit all your family. So the young people go and visit whoever's the eldest in the family. And they go to the house, they give their respects and wish everyone Happy New Year. And they get lucky money. So lucky money comes in a red packet. And usually it has your surname written on it, or maybe health or wealth or happiness or something like this. And it's symbolic to give lucky money to people to start off the new year. And you usually give this to people that are not married. So married people give it to the unmarried people. The parents give it to the children. Bosses give it to the employees. It kind of works like that. And if you go out, you would, I guess you use it a little bit like a tip. You would give lucky money packets to service industry people, the guards in your apartment, etc. So it pays off if you're not married. If you are married, it's a very expensive time to be in town. It's a good time to go.
It encourages people to be married.
Except it goes on, money giving away lasts for about 30 days. So you have to go away for a fair while to avoid it altogether if you're really tight. But
red money is essentially that legal bribe.
Yes, that's also the same thing. You call it a red packet, a lycee packet. It's the same principle, and the excitement of it is amazing. And in Hong Kong and China, people over there get 13-month salary, and the 13th month is like an extra month that comes at Chinese New Year, and most people use that money to pay their taxes, but all local firms will have that term written in their contract as well. So it's a very big thing to have the lucky money. And if you don't have anyone older in your family left, then the younger people should be visiting you and you hosting all that. And then the second day you can visit friends, but the first day is family.
And the Chinese New Year is a 13-month calendar, which is very different than the Gregorian calendar we're on.
It's a different calculation. I guess it's a bit like the Mayan too. They calculate time differently. In many senses, it's a true time, right?
Yeah, it's a true time. It's a lunar calendar.
Whereas we're now in our false time.
Yeah. Well, I
never know what time it is.
We're not on a true accurate lunar calendar that's passing the seasons and the movement of the stars. No, we're on a fixed calendar that is using points of reference to adjust times. Yes.
And also in this Chinese New Year, when you have food, there are certain dishes that you have. Like you must have fish, a steamed fish, and you have the whole fish. So you have the head and the tail on the fish. And that symbolism is that you have a complete. You need a beginning and an end, a head and a tail. Otherwise, your year will not be complete. Sorry. And then you have the noodles, because that's for longevity. So you have a fried noodle dish or a steamed noodle dish. And then you have longevity buns. It's a bit... You eat as much as you do at Thanksgiving, pretty much.
There are holiday traditions throughout all areas. Like there's a one where they put a penny inside the bread, and whoever gets the penny is got their special lucky year. There's many things that represent this, but it's interesting how you mention the food and the stuff, because many in the Jewish religion have a specific set of food that they eat during their time. It reminds them of their upcomings. As many societies come back to those traditional dishes. And that's something that, both you and I are very, we're both foodies and we're both about understanding the world's traditional dishes. What are some of these other special traditional dishes that come out during the Chinese New Year?
We also have a dish called jong. I'm just trying to think what his English name. It escapes me right now. But you have like the sticky rice, and that's cooked inside. What do you call them? A lotus leaves, I think you call it. And inside you will have an egg and some dried sausage and things like this. And this is also for luck. I mean, Chinese or Asians in general, most of the food has a particular reason. It's either for health, for luck, to live longer, or to ward off something. And certain areas, different provinces also will have snake because it's coming into winter. So they believe that if you have snake soup, then that will thicken your blood and bring you luck, etc. Although, depending on the year that you're born, possibly you can't have that on that year because every Chinese New Year celebrates a different symbol that comes in. Like at the moment we're in year of the goat or sheep, it's goat or sheep is the same in terms of the year. They just call it different things. Yep. We're coming up into year of the monkey, which is a very interesting, challenging and fun year for a lot of people, as long as you're not in conflict.
As long as you're not in conflict. So what else does the monkey represent?
Well, the monkey represents a lot of opportunity. There's always a lot of talking, and certain people will fare well better because they're more dominant. If you are not, if in yourself you're not a very forceful or powerful person, it's the time. This upcoming year is the time where you've got to put your foot down. You've got to stop with the chit chat with people. You've got to push them into a corner and get them to make a commitment to you, because everyone will talk to you, but whether or not they'll commit to you will be another matter. I mean, the monkey is always in conflict with the tiger, the year of the tiger. So if you're born in the year of the tiger, then these things, the year of the monkey, will be a bit tougher for you because if you can imagine the visualization, it's like the monkey jumps all around the tiger and he's so spry that he can hit him on the nose and jump and hit him on the tail, but the tiger can't turn fast enough.
Constant little trickster spirit, changing direction, being unpredictable.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's lots of Chinese literature that describes what I've just simplified into a cartoon. But it's very eloquent when the way they say it.
And then there's fables associated to that, the Monkey King and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you had a child that's born in the year of the monkey, it's considered quite lucky because no matter what, they should be able to turn their hand at anything. And they, even when they're down and out, they can flip opportunities. It's just a question of whether they want to or not.
And whether they want to or not, exactly. And there are so many uniquely interesting things that come out of understanding Chinese New Year versus the way the West, the Americas or the West celebrates New Year's. We have this party where Old Anne Sign is sung over and over again while you're drunk, as opposed to honoring your ancestors, as opposed to sharing food, as opposed to doing all those other incredibly wonderful, rich, community-related things.
Yeah, it is very different. And, the traditional Western New Year's is typically over alcohol and food and passing the coal around. But no one talks about the family, the ancestors, it's a time in Asia anyway, where everyone's get together, they remember people who passed away, all the stories are told about great-grandma, and photos are exchanged. And
if somebody's in hard times, the red dollars flow to a person in the hard times. Yes,
it makes a big difference. If you're really struggling, visit more people.
Visit more people, exactly.
Stay longer. You get to eat wherever you go. But it's certainly the spirit and the community and the family feel with everyone is very strong. And also, you usually wear red or a shade of red. So, pink would be okay, but that's a lucky color as well. Mm-hmm. So you wear that as much as possible during that time. Like the girls often, especially the late teenagers, young ladies, they'll wear new red undies as well, because you can't always wear red, to work or to school, but you can control your underwear.
Your luck is always there at your underwear level. So what I'd like to do is to put out a challenge to everyone in the audience. What can you do this coming New Year's to break the cycle? And maybe connect to the answers. Maybe do a ceremony. Maybe do something in relation to what we've just talked about. Be unpredictable.
Yes. And get in touch with your own roots and your sense, your soul connections. And if you don't really know anything, make a challenge to at least call or contact one person that could tell you something you didn't know.
Exactly. Take a chance on yourself. You've earned the right. You don't have to be stuck in watching, the zombies on TV for a ball falling. That means nothing because it's just fraud time. You have to let that go. And in that process of letting it go, you get to become unpredictable. Truly challenge yourself this New Year's to be unpredictable. The 21st to the 23rd of December energetically are going to be a nightmare for all of those people that haven't done any real ceremony this year. If you've done ceremony this year, it's not going to be a nightmare. It's going to be gas while you're asleep and you're constantly waking up to a smell. But it's not going to be anything more than a smell.
Yeah, that's all right.
Don't drink the milk, if your milk causes gas. Alrighty, everyone. That is our musical break. We will be back in just a couple minutes, and then we will be taking calls. Remember, turn off your radios in the background and mute. We'll be right back.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Oops, I was muted. Welcome back, everyone, to Adventures into Reality. We are going to be taking callers here in just a second. So, everyone, if you want to call in, the number is 347-688-2902. If you're out of country and would like to call in, use via Skype. You can use Freedom Screen as the name, and you will be able to connect to the studio. Also, you will have to send a friend's request. So we are ready for the very first call. 360, your name and where you're calling from?
Linda Carr.
Okay, and where from?
Washington State.
Okay, so what kind of questions did you want to ask about?
Well, you're the monkey, so I can relate very much to what you were sharing. And also, I would love so much if you could tune into my physical body and let me know what's going on.
Okay, so just 1 second here. I'm detecting a whole lot of stuff going on with your right butt cheek. Have you had a tailbone injury since you were young?
Well, I was thrown off a horse at one point, but went to see a naturopathic chiropractor.
Are you still regularly seeing that for sciatic issues?
No, nothing like that, for sure.
Well, there's a massive compression in your tailbone. There's a compression fracture there, which is actually causing the fascia around your buttocks to become extremely tight at the tailbone side, which has actually turned your tailbone to the left. And this is actually misaligning much of your dreaming energy, which is actually causing your neck to twist opposite when you're sleeping. So there is definitely something going on there with your health. Have you had breathing issues?
Oh, I don't think so.
Stuffy noses that come out of nowhere?
No, I'm really healthy, living off the land, lots of fruit from my trees, permaculture, holistic health, everything. But my abdomen, there's something in my abdomen. I was wondering if it was just eating too much bulk, raw food, or...
Well, along with the tailbone injury, whenever there's abdomen issues, it relates directly to your dream world. Your dreaming world lives in your abdomen, in your intestinal tract. That's its house, its home, when it's not off driving in the dream world. So there is a frequency there that is causing some major disruption. I don't think it's the raw food, actually. I think that it's whatever is going on in your dream world has caused some form of disconnect with your higher self. So there's dream information coming through, but it is not giving you its fullest potential. There is definitely something that's in rejection of your lifestyle. What I'm looking at here is a type of psychic trauma that affected you just to the left of your belly button. Some form of instead of a backstab, somebody kind of like psychically stabbed you in the front. Like an out in the open, like embarrassment, or somebody trying to do something very negative to you that has been in your frequency for a long time.
Okay, now this is like a little mass in my abdomen. I thought, what is that? From using a string trimmer left and right, repeated work, is it work related? What is this little mass? I know it's not my intestine because I can move it up and over, and it stays, even after elimination. I'm thinking, what is this mass? Is it something? Is it a tumor or what?
Well, right now, to me, it represents as an energy cyst. So if I had you on the table doing energy work, if you were face down, it would come out your kidneys. If it was face up, it would come out your belly button. When I say come out, is you, just like in massage with energy, you can move energy cysts from their original place and then literally scoop them out piece by piece by piece. And this is something that you can do on your own in meditation, where you find where the lump is and you literally use your hands in energy format to start scooping the density out of it. When I'm looking in this, to kind of pull it towards your belly button, just so you can keep pulling more and pulling more, because the belly button's the natural expulsion point because it's no longer connected to the mother.
Okay. I get a sense of what you're saying. I felt like I could just say hello to myself, give myself love, do belly breathing, and just love that part of me. Just actually an opportunity to love myself.
Exactly, and what that dense energy represents, parts of you who can't love yourself anymore, who may be afraid of success, who may be afraid of taking the next level, or is dealing with some form of shame, blame, or guilt in perverted form. Therefore, breaking the bond of love, and it becomes a dense energy. It could be a program you've had as a young kid that just has festered and festered and festered until finally at this age it's coming to the surface.
Oh, interesting. Yes, I lost my mate 10 years ago, and we had 23 amazing years, and I wondered if it might be connected to that at all.
It is. I want to bring Kathy in here for her perspective.
I have this... It's an interesting scenario, your body and your health. I also see, breathing and the lung area highlighted as Andrew did. I know you say you don't have any issues with that, but to me it looks like you've had something in your lung area for a while. Were you around a lot of toxic kind of materials when you were younger? Like, I don't know, like, I don't think I mean asbestos, but it seems like you have some, I don't want to use the word damage, but you have some residual stuff left in your lungs. But it seems to me from a long time ago, not from now. I'll just leave that with you to have a think about, because what I think is also going on with your body is you've somehow inhaled some, let's just call it, I hesitate to use the word toxic, but something not good for you. And it's kind of been embedded in your body, mainly specifically in your lungs. Sometimes I would say you may get pressures in your top part of your right side of the head, and that's all related to me. It wouldn't be something that would give you migraines or debilitating headaches, but it will keep coming up for no reason. And things like Panadol or ibuprofen and that wouldn't really help you. You might want to consider if there's some way you can do a detox for that type of heavy metal or toxins that you may have inhaled, because I think if you do that, you'll find that you have a significantly higher energy output in your body than you're used to. So that's just one thing that you can consider at your leisure.
Kathy, I feel like I lived a really pure lifestyle. I mean, maybe chlorine from the shower, or the swimming pool, being on the swim team, but very athletic, very healthful upbringing, living. I'm not relating to that, but I also did some clay, some food-grade bentonite clay to detox, and I'm wondering, could that be clay in my intestine?
Yes, it could be that.
So.
No, it can be that.
Clay?
It could be the clay. If you overdid the clay.
No, it was just a tablespoon for 10 days in a row in the morning.
That's not overdoing it.
No, not at all.
No, it's not at all.
Once a year,
I'm gonna add something else to the lung issues. I really think at some point that you are just in a current kind of unaware of right now, whether it was through you cleaning brush somewhere and activating mold spores or mold spores growing next to your house, that the lung issue is something that's easily ignored from you. Because you are able to do deep breathing, you can overmass it. I think if you were to really take a study of your breath, you're going to discover you have very short breaths. And that is representative of the damage that I and Kathy immediately sensed on your lungs. Something at some point overloaded the alveolus inside the lung, which has caused a tremendous amount of toxic buildup.
Okay, living on a boat at port, the exhaust, I noticed
that would be very much the diesel exhaust, yes?
Yeah, it could be, but we're talking from childhood. What, Kathy?
To me, it seems like it's been in your body a while. So I would say I don't think it's anything in the last 5 years. It's older, I can't put my finger on what exactly I think it is, but I can see it. It's residual is in there, and I just like you to. I mean, in a way, I guess it doesn't really matter what it is. Not what it is, but where it came from. It's just noticing your body and being aware of it. And if there's an opportunity to do something that you can cleanse out toxins or heavy metals in your whole system, it's something that you should consider.
Something we all should do.
Yes.
I was affected by the chemtrails like 4 times. I've noticed them affecting me when I did aerobic mowing when I first came on the land here. And it just knocked me. It was in my lungs, and I was doing an herbal formula infection killer to knock it out. But I'm thinking maybe chemtrail related.
I'm sorry. I'm just having a bit of trouble hearing you with the.
Okay, I was affected by chemtrails 4 times since they started 95. They started
See, exactly. Right away, I knew it was the chemtrails in the lungs. And there's something else where you may have not realized you were clearing brush out and you ran into a massive mold spore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived in Hawaii, and I remember burning some Christmas berry one time, and it knocked me for a loop for, dizzy. Woke up the next morning dizzy, and the locals would say, throw it on the ground, don't burn it, just let it rot.
Yes.
So I didn't.
So I have a suggestion for you. Do you know muscle testing?
Yes.
So what I'd like for you to do is to just look up the lungs in Wikipedia, and what you'll see is all different definitions of the main sections of the lungs. And I want you to use your muscle testing as you are reading about the different sections of the lungs. Is there density or toxicity that I need to have out of this thing, or this thing? And just have your muscle testing go yes, no, and expand it a little bit more as you get into where the hemoglobin. And that is where whatever density, it's like, to me, it looks like a tar over the alveolus, preventing full distribution of the oxygen.
Okay, great idea.
And then you'll also be able to do this for the energy cyst. And I will recommend that you do it standing up and sitting down when you're doing your muscle test, because it will give you different answers on that energy cyst when you're standing up or sitting down.
Okay.
And you'll be able to get a common understanding through the asking of muscle test questions, especially when it's ready. Does it need to come out the belly button, or do I need someone to assist me in getting it out?
Okay. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yes.
I
So
love
Kathy-
the alternatives, the different conversation. Say again?
Yes. Kathy, did you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I also think that this mass in your abdomen area is something that can be dissipated. To me, it's not being as highlighted as one would have thought from what you describe. So I would just go ahead and do the things that Andrews has suggested, and you may find that it just dissipates.
All right. Yes. Yes. I watched a psychic surgeon take a tumor out of a friend when on Maui, and it was most interesting to watch the molecules separate and then to seal it back up just effortlessly. Like, no. Yeah.
With muscle testing, you can do the same thing on your own body. You just have to make sure that the questions you are posing to your body are true, heartfelt, thought-out questions, not random questions. Ones that have your best goal, best healing put in intent behind it, so true wisdom comes out of the healing. And you can do your own self-psychic surgery through this muscle testing process.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much.
You are welcome. All right, darling, I've got to let you go on, move on to the next caller.
All right.
Thank you so much. You're great questions.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Our next caller is going to be 561. Are you there? 561, who has been waiting and waiting for a week. 561. I hear movement. Are you there, 561? Earth, the 561. All right. We are going to move on to the next caller. Unless 561 is there. I hear them blinking. No. Yeah. So, caller 808, are you there?
Hello?
808, your name and where you're calling from?
My name's Loretta. And I'm
Hello, Loretta. Where are you calling from?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. From all the way on the old Sunshine State over there. What kind of questions do you want to ask?
I had a question about my health, and I was just wondering if you could help me get unstuck.
Yes. So what's going on with the health, or do you just want something that's a blind read? What are you looking for?
Direction. So I guess a blind read can't hurt.
Well, how about we go a little bit deeper? How old are you?
I'm 60.
60. Did you have children?
I haven't had no children, never married.
No children, never married. All right. Just let me tune into you. Immediately on the back of your neck, you have major issues the way your neck connects to...
Help me get unstuck.
All right. 561, you have to mute.
So what's going
We're getting back feet from you. 561, that's not there. So there's lots of issues with the way your skull sits on your neck and the way your neck bones connect to your shoulder bones. The amount of stress that's connecting the back of your fascial muscles of your neck to your shoulder blades at the sinews is intense. That means there's an intense amount of mental pressure that you're putting on yourself, which is causing the body to go out of action. And because it's going out of action, there's a whole bunch of other things that are going on. Your intestinal tract is just absolutely screwed up because of some food that got in there that has created a candida infection. And it's in your upper intestine, not in your lower intestines, which means it's a very serious case of candida, meaning you actually ate something that had candida on its surface. And it's now growing a spore colony in your intestinal tract. Moving further, if someone were to massage your shoulders, they would define your shoulders as concrete. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yes.
The concrete shoulders says that you are burning yourself up. You can't turn your mind off.
Hello?
When you're about to go to sleep, your mind is still running actively, and it doesn't allow you to enter full dream sleep. You need to make sure that you are getting regular massages all the time. Very, very, very important that goes on for you. Otherwise, the concrete shoulders are going to turn into a concrete back, and once you have a concrete back, your lower chakra system will actually be shut off from you. 907, we are working with another caller, so just please stay there and mute. We'll get to you in just a second.
I don't have my radio on.
Yeah. Anyways. So we are dealing with you stressing yourself out, you not having no way of being able to take any more stress or pressure on.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Okay. So, Kathy, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I definitely saw the neck being highlighted, specifically the back left part of the neck. So I would agree with everything that you said. I also think that it's I don't know exactly how it could be related, but to me it also seems like your eyes are somehow related to all this. I would say that you must be getting tired.
Hello?
Your eyes must be getting tired more than they should be, is probably what I'd say. And it's almost like it's not sleepy tired, it's just kind of achy tired.
I have no radio on and no...
But for me...
We have to remind everyone, we are on a delay. That is why you have when you come onto the call, just be quiet. We can hear you. Just mute your line. You don't keep saying hello.
So one of the things I would suggest is that you use some sort of a compress or I don't know, even like, slices of cucumbers, cold tea bags, whatever it is. But I think if you start tending to your eyes more often, you'll find that your thinking is clearer because your eyes seem to be tired and aching a bit. It's affecting the way that your mind is working and the clarity of mind. I know this seems like awfully simple, but it's something that I recommend that you try, because I think once you've done that for a couple of weeks, the clarity that you get just from in your head, it'll be totally worth it. I also look at your back, and I think that there is some bits of it that are kind of taut. So I would definitely consider taking some baths or heat pad or anything that is a surface remedial solution that you can find easily accessible, that you can do yourself, would probably benefit you a lot. Again, these sort of things seem so ordinary, but I think it's a question of you taking the time to look after your body and do these little small things that will help you just feel that little bit better to then face bigger challenges that you may have.
Thank you.
So I've got a question for you. Have you had any experience with the night walkers in Hawaii?
Oh, I suspect I've had experience, but I tend not to want to dwell into it because I figure it's only going to bring me more of it.
Well, this is why you're kind of screwed up right now. You have what I call spectral ancestral energy in your field. And this is why it's so hard for you to get going and moving on projects, especially ones that you really want to do. At some point, your dreaming body interacted with a nighttime walker who was trying to enforce spiritual debt that is separate than the system debt. It's something that was created by the ancestral peoples to make sure people in the future, whether they were connected to the ancestors or not, were taking on the debt of what was created originally in those islands, which was to have night walkers there to prevent dreamtime things from harming people there and creating a very negative frequency. So something you know about the night walkers, they are both good and bad. They are there to slay demons that are moving through neighborhoods. But after a while of slaying demons, they take on some of the habits and forcefully entangle themselves with people so they can continue to slay demons. And this is what has happened to you. At some point, your dreaming world was hijacked by a group of other night walkers, and you went on a big demon slaying route. And now, all these years later, you're still burnt out in your frequency.
Yes.
So this calls for you doing a tidal ceremony where you go out when the tidest is farthest out and you get as many candles or a little fire so that as the water is going out, you are starting a fire in that tidal zone, and as it's coming back in, you're having another one. And you need to do this very regularly until you are on a tidal clock so that the beings who are using any expression from you can only reflect it through this tidal energy. So you are signaling to them you are in conjunction with the island moving of energy. And then after that, you are going to need someone that is a specialist at removing energy cysts, because you have quite a few wounds on you, which are energy cysts now. You've taken damage in the spiritual battles while you were essentially hijacked into these Nightwalker wars. So the type of person that you're going to see is somebody that's common in your area. Are you familiar with Lomi Lomi?
Yes.
Go find a Lomi specialist, and just indicate to her that you had some work with the Nightwalkers that ultimately turned out to do some damage to you, and you want to let it go. You may not be fully aware of it, and you don't need to be fully aware of it. It may be too much for you. A regular couple sessions with that, and then ultimately you're going to have to see someone that can deal with what's going on in the neck. So whether it's a craniosacral therapist that can unravel all the fascia, and then continued massages and taking stress off yourself. That's the most important thing. Your field has just been overwhelmed for so long of other energies that it's hard to find your own frequency.
Thank you for verifying that. That's kind of what I thought, but it just seems that it's such an excuse.
You know, darling, as soon as I read your field, I knew I had a moment of truth. Either, kind of push my own rules of talking about haunted people on an air or not. And I know you needed to know that. Because it's not just confirmation. It's that inner knowingness that something has affected me and I need to do something about it.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that I was able to get in. I tried to get in last week, and I suspect I was... I don't know, whatever happened with that glitch. But
last week was unusual. It was call volume. That was dropping everyone. we were crashing the radio station.
But I'm very grateful for the opportunity to listen to you, because I would say every time I listen, I hear something that dings and says, oh, that's for me.
All right, darling, hold on the line. I want to have further conversation with you. We are going to go on to our break, so everyone will be back in just a couple minutes.
Okay, thank you.
You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going to be continuing our conversation from Linda from the Hawaiian lands. Linda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Andrew.
So I have a question for you. When you called and you wanted to know about your individual frequency, what's going on, what was it that you thought was going on with you?
I think my mother had a history of schizophrenic illness and paranoia, and as I have discredited her, I now perceive that what she lived through was the need to abandon herself in order to survive as a result of a lot of tests, governmental interference. I know it sounds like it's a conspiracy theory and that I'm whacked, but the things she used to complain of are now everyday reality.
Where did she grow up? Where did she grow up?
Brooklyn Harbor, Long Island, New York.
Okay. All throughout Long Island, people were subjected to chemical tests from the 30s to the 70s. Just like Kansas City was exposed to a pesticide test that was to release flu disease. So when people that are diagnosed schizophrenic from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, schizophrenia was something that the drug industry was told by the government it could create drugs that the psychologists would just accept as the drugs that they were going to be using, because they needed a massive test colony of people to test various types of antipsychotic drugs, dissociative drugs that were separate of the natural healing processes, that also had amphetamines or some other form of stimulant inside them that the person never knew about, a combination of cocaine and caffeine, actually. So your mother and many, many other people that were diagnosed with schizophrenia during those time frames never had schizophrenia. They were actually just very psychic people that the system used. And now you're saying these common terms because you see what's going on. But you yourself don't want to fall into the world of conspiracy. You want some facts to understand. Because you were born by a mother that had that expression, and it means you too are just as psychically sensitive to drugs as well as other things of your spiritual environment.
Yes, and part of my denial of pursuing that is I don't have a sense of being properly mentored.
There you go. And because you were never properly mentored means you have to self-teach. And that's one of the hardest things to do in this arena, self-teaching.
Yes. And
But
that's
no,
why I appreciate what you share so much.
well, because I want to help people to make sure that their journey is rich and full of color and contrast that's very beneficial. So in conjunction with the tidal rituals that I described for you, this is where you have to identify with your ancestral roots in the place you are now. You aren't in Long Island anymore. You aren't in any of the other places you've lived. You are where you're living now. And it's vitally important that you start giving acknowledgement to the ancestors, putting regular incense up. Look at your yard and maybe go out and actually make 7 or 8 incense holders that attach to trees. And part of your regular walk in the morning is you put an incense stick on all throughout your property, one here, one there, one here, one there, twice or 3 days a week, and then move up eventually into creating food for your property, which is the ancestral soups, which I've spoken about before, which is very simple. It's just a beef broth or a vegetable broth that you put your time, your effort, your energy, your contra revocations, your invocations, and your heart space into it, and then you spread that soup all throughout the land.
I have a pot on the stove now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask?
I probably will when I hang up the phone, but right now I think my sense of being validated is sufficient, and I will allow someone else to receive your benefit.
All right. Thanks a lot, darling. You have a really good day.
You too, and thank Kathy as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to the next caller, 302. Are you there?
Hello, Andrew. Kathy, how are you?
Wonderful. Where's your name and where you're calling from?
This is Christine from Delaware. I spoke to you a couple of years ago, so just checking in, and
Yes.
it's amazing. The last caller had a lot to do with what it is that I was going to be talking to you about. I believe the last time that we spoke, I was really, really amped up and extremely excited to have heard about you. It was like fireworks went off inside of me, being very, very psychically sensitive, knowing what I know, but being afraid to do anything with it my entire existence. And then just the awakening that happened just listening to you. And then after speaking to you, you know, a lot of dialogue going on, you know, in other realms, like, oh my God, and an overwhelming sense of me needing to just say, I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry. I know that, you know, all of our past histories that have been entangled. You know, we've loved each other and we've hurt each other, but I got a really, really, really deep sense that the hurt that I caused others, especially you,
I do
whoever
remember.
it is that we are connected to. I mean, it really prevents me in moving forward in my own development, self-teaching in my own shamanistic skills because of the power and that narcissistic energy, you know, and how this is all, you know, connected. The feminine, sacred energy, the schizophrenia, mental illness, addiction, you know, our pharmaceutical companies. I mean, just all of this is so connected within my being. And just even making the call, I had so much energy, like a whirling volcano, and so much doubt and so much fear. And I was like, no, this isn't going to happen. I was ready to hang up when the line picked up, and it's like, you are here. Adventures in Reality. And I'm like, no. Okay, then I'm going to sit with this.
And you stuck with it, and the caller before you was exactly you in another expression.
Exactly. It's almost like every caller that you have on here is another expression of who I am. I write notes. I take notes. I do my ceremonies. I do some clearing, but so much energy. I have now finally purchased a property. It actually and took my maiden name back, which I had been ashamed of my whole life because
that was a
of all
hard
of this.
thing, wasn't it? Hard thing to take that name back.
Very hard, and at the same time, knowing, having glimpses and understandings of how bright my future is, wanting to manifest that, bring that into reality, bring a healing for my ancestors. I found a piece of property that backs up to my last name's, you know, creek. And I don't know if I should say it online or not. I'd love to say it out loud for my own expression, to come out of this invisibility cloak that I'm hiding. The Barlow Branch.
There you go. Darling, I remember our private session very much, because there was something that was trying to block us from having our first meeting. And then once we had our session, it was unique to talk to you because of what you had already been through. And now from going through that to this next level, you are able to show you can change, you can move, no matter how hard the hurricane is thrown against you, you've survived.
Oh my. It was right after we talked, you were like, there's a trickster, he's hanging around. I'm like, I feel it. And as much as I was trying to, you know, do what I do to get it away, there's another part of me, another soul part of me that said, you have to follow the signal. The signal is leading you here, regardless of what your brain is saying. You must do this. And there was a part of you that kind of knew that too. And you did give me a validation, although you didn't go into detail. But that other part of me grabbed a hold of it. This is like multi-dimensional language we're using here. I hope people can understand this, because we're jumping around from all these different bits of ourselves and connecting and learning to see. I hope the listeners can hear that, yes, you can be of a sovereign being and still be connected to these other parts of you and still allow them to flow through you, much like you are Sybil, much like you are, you know, schizophrenic in a way, but you're not. Don't let those labels get the best of you. And they terrified me for a long, long time. Thank God for Andrew and Kathy and others that are tuned in and sharing all of this, because this is a real deficit in our humanity right now, and we've really got to get a grip on it.
So what kind of questions do you want to ask us?
Hello?
So I have this land. I'm working with my ancestors.
I don't have a radio on. Hello?
You're on a delay, darling. We are with our other caller here, so just hold on there. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm working with the Native American energy within me. I had a wonderful experience in Sedona earlier this year.
Hello?
Where I was taken back.
Go ahead. Sorry.
To a past life, and it was my favorite past life. And I wound up being a Native American elder in that past life, where they gave me a special cloak at 100 years old. And the person that was my father, who was the chief in that lifetime, was actually my younger brother, who at the time was suffering from all of this density, suffering from what the ancestors, have had plague us throughout history, alcoholism, addiction, and he lost himself. However, at the very end, he was communicating to me much as though he was very, very in another dimension, and he sounded good. I want to know if I need validation for that. That experience. He passed away in April of this year. He's now with my brother, my other brother, and my father, and my cousin. And my little cousin committed suicide. We're all part of this ancestral Barlow name that has mental illness wrapped through it. I never knew my grandparents, but I really, truly believe my grandmother was very psychic, and I need to know and understand a lot more about those types of roots that I can work with here on this land.
Your ancestral mediumship is what you're asking about. So when it comes to the persons that have passed on, everyone that you've mentioned has already been reborn into bodies. That includes your grandmother. They're all children living somewhere in the world right now. They were not going to miss this. So you must understand
Okay.
there is another group of ancestors that have taken their position because they chose to ride the roller coaster at the front of the tracks. Okay?
Okay.
So with this knowledge, you have to begin to do the ancestral soups at a much more, let's just say, PhD level.
Yes.
Okay? You are the alchemists of ancestry. And to be the medium, you must also be the facilitator. So growing things on your property that go into your witch's cauldron, we'll just call it that, because your cauldron is your transmutating force. So whatever you put into this cauldron is by intention the facilitator of you becoming the medium to the various networks of energies that are running through your properties. The frogs have their own network. The spiders have their own network. The dogs, the cats, the bees, everything has their own unique signature frequency that is interacting with your land. And as the medium to the ancestors, you want something that represents as many species types as possible into your cauldron of respect. So start looking at what's on my land. Are there 2 types of grass, 7 types of moss, 10 types of frogs? Start noting these down and start bringing as much plant, tree material to something that, just make it a big cast iron pot that you use to put on fires. It's solely used for that purpose. Okay? Like a grandmother's pot that's being cured with perfect taste. Okay? Also, when that pot is boiling over your fire, whether it's indoor or outdoor, doesn't matter, is going to be your ability to hear the lands as a medium, just like you would go to a medium to talk to ghosts. While you're boiling that soup and after you've done it regularly, it will be the signature frequency of being a medium to your land, where whatever ghosts are on the land, positive or negative, will come through that soup and you will get a lot of good feedback from them.
Cool. Just got goose pimples. That's good.
Alrighty. Any last questions you want to ask?
You mentioned the act of rebellion.
Yes.
In past shows. Can you clarify what that is? I mean, there was a lot of compassion when you talked about this aspect.
For this, I want to remind you there's 2 kinds of rebellion. There's male aggressive rebellion and female rebellion. So I want to bring Kathy here to talk in general about rebelling.
Okay.
There are so many different types, to be so honest. I'm kind of wondering, I'm looking at your energy and it seems like you have something kind of more specific to ask.
I remember noting it down and listening to one of the past callers and trying to recall what the context was. But either way, I've been a rebel, so I know that there's also some negative scapegoating that goes along with being that particular vibration or frequency. And there was a lot of compassion when Andrew referred to this particular act of rebellion within another individual. Just their way of showing, maybe they didn't know and understand what love was, but that was their best way to figure it out, was to know its opposite, so to speak. Like for me to know humility, I needed to be around narcissism, if that makes any sense.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
So maybe it was I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, if you can see rebellion in my energy, you can let me know, if I'm holding on to anything that, any shame or guilt or whatever, or whether or not I really truly need to own.
I think that when I look at your energy, I don't really see a super strong rebellion energy there. I mean, a little rebellious nature in all of us is a good thing. So, I do look for that energy or characteristic in people, because you do need to foster it to a certain degree, because without it, you become a sheep, which is also no good. So I guess the word balance jumps to mind. I don't see that you have a big issue with rebellion or rebellious energy, but I do think you overanalyze things.
I am so left brain, it's not even funny.
Sometimes you've got to step back.
And it's really, really hard to be this other energetic self that I know myself to be when that left brain is, in so far into the mathematics and science of everything, into understanding the quantum field and wanting to be able to transmit that verbally. So.
I think a lot of time, because you're just overworked, your brain is overworked. Let's put it like that. Let me cut it down to the more simple speech, let's say. Your brain is just too active. It's overworked in that sense, and you're losing sight of what's going on every day and the beauty and the magic of everything. So if you can visualize yourself more experiencing life through the eyes of a child, that the majestic of the everyday, the beauty of your surroundings, the excitement of seeing people, even if you don't like them that much, and just savor all those little emotions and all those little experiences. If you can make yourself do this every day for a month, I think you'll find that your brain will start to turn off a little bit and let you enjoy more of what's going on for you. And I'm highlighting this to you because if you keep going at the rate you're going with all this overthinking, you will miss a lot of your life that's going on now, and you'll miss the beauty of actually living. And this is one of the things that I'd like you to embrace, because when you do this, you will understand the word and feeling fulfillment. And I think this is a big challenge for you, because you're always searching, you're always looking, always seeking out an answer, when often things don't have an answer, but meanwhile, life is passing you by. Does that make sense for you?
At some level, sure. I also took right up on, my antidote as being play. I'm really good at playing. I have a new dog named Ruby, and, I'm sure she's been with me for lifetimes now, and we enjoy this new property. I also know that I'm a homeowner now, so I'm starting to come up with blues songs with homeowners blues, and it's just a kind of a joyful way for me to go through, just that responsibility of now being a homeowner. I haven't been a homeowner in 5 years, so now all of that sense of over responsibility and, an opportunity for the system to get the best of me, the banks and all that. I've done my revocations, but that stuff is still, they're just thoughts, and I try not to grab onto them. And when they do get the best of me, I grab my dog and we go out back and we play. Mm-hmm. So I do understand.
That is a good thing. That is a good thing. But I'm also talking more about an overall being, an overall wonderment that I'd like you to rediscover, because you have it in you. It's just that your brain takes over, and then But actually, you mentioning your home has brought up a point that I wanted to bring up before, is that I want you to have a look at your documents, because I think there's something missing. So I think there's a document that's been skipped or a signature that's missing, but it's quite important. It won't appear to be important until there is a problem, and then it will be apparent that there's something that's been left behind.
Okay.
So generally, this is, from my experience reading people up, it's often, some clause in the insurance that you didn't initial or you didn't sign, or the bank left it out. There's a page missing, and, it fell on the ground by accident. Things like this.
Okay. We did have some issues with the insurance earlier. I thought we had taken care of that, but I'll look
that is our music, everyone. So hang on, and we'll move on to our next caller here after the music. We'll be right back.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back, everyone, to Adventures into Reality. Kathy, we've had some really, really interesting callers.
I know, so interesting, and such a wide range of things to talk about.
Yes, that last caller, Christine, and the one before, dealing with the all of those things, that caller after caller, each person's getting their own recognition of what's going on out here.
Yeah, and from such different places as well. The world is very small.
Very, very small. All right, Steve, we're ready for the next call. Go ahead and bring one in. I know you have some issue before over there.
Well, we should have 561.
Oh, I don't see it in the screen. 561, are you there?
Wow, 561's really not having any luck today.
No, neither is 707.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was.
It's okay. 561. Yay! You made it to the party.
I know. Welcome.
I am so sorry. I know. I apologize. I've been having some technical issues on this end, so I apologize.
All right, darling. What is your name and where you're calling from?
This is Patty. I'm calling from South Florida.
Hi, Patty from South Florida. What kind of questions do you want to start with?
Oh boy. Well, it's I've really enjoyed all of the other calls. So much of it has resonated with me. And Kathy, I really loved what you were talking about at the beginning of the ship. The call about honoring the ancestors, honoring our families, and so it's the holidays, and it's a little tough for me. I'm not really close to my family, but I kind of like to honor my ancestors during this time. And so my question that I was thinking about has a lot to do with what you see in terms of my connection to the ancestors of the land that I'm living on right now. I've felt that I've been connected, perhaps even more connected to the ancestors from other lifetimes of this land than I was to my own biological family. And so I guess if you could look into that and shed some light on that for me, and that would be kind of be a start.
Kathy, you want to take a stab at that energy?
Well, when I look at your energy, to me it looks like you have a lot of ties with your ancestors. I know you said you're not very close with your family, but I'd say there's many generations down your family line that has been strong. Where you're born to and where you grew up is not necessarily the same thing as having a strong bond with ancestors, because that blood bond is very strong, and that soul bond is very strong. You may not know where they are, who they are, what they look like, but you will feel their presence nonetheless. And especially in Asia, where strong believers in your ancestors are always around you, especially in times of, joy or sadness, special occasions, but then we do also see that they come in, just, pop in. I mean, not really pop in for a cup of tea, pop in, but, they pop in to check on you and make sure things are A-okay. And, sometimes you'll be in a room. I can see it very clearly in energy that you'll be in a room and you'll hear a noise and you wonder what it is. You think it's the wind, and then you get a creepy, eerie feeling, and then you start to think about, creepy stuff like ghosts and eerie things. But in actual fact, it's not creepy at all. It's just that your psychic sense is really strong and picking up the fact that there is a presence there. You just don't know how to interpret it in many ways. Next time that happens to you, I would say just take a moment, just sit wherever you are, and even if it's just in your head, like with a play imaginary friend, just acknowledge that they're there and say thank you for them coming to check on you, and that you hope that they can find some, fulfillment in being connected to you in some way, because it's not a scary thing. But I think you will find that over time you start to feel a stronger bond towards family, even if you can't identify it to a certain person in this physical realm. Your sense of being connected to a familial kind of ancestry family becomes stronger. And that's actually quite peaceful to know. It sounds weird, but it is very peaceful to know. But I think that will make a big difference for you. And then looking towards like blood family, in many ways, you can't always get along with who you're related to, whether it's by choice or not by choice. So you do, in a sense, make your own family as you go along, whether it's blood or not. And the ones that you are related by DNA, in many cases, you have to think about the fact that some of your life challenges are not really to get along with them. It's just to know them. They'll teach you something, whether or not it's the fulfillment that you're looking for, even if it's to just know something very basic, like, this type of personality is just awful. I'm never going to be friends with someone like this. But you know how to deal with it.
Right. So they all have purpose.
Yeah. You would only be brother and sister to them, never a friend.
Yeah. But nonetheless, there's still something to teach you. And also, should I say, something for you to learn from it. Even if it's just to be more strong, to be opposed to the manipulation that you go through.
Yes. Yes. Which can be very strong during this time of year.
Oh, yeah. And you've got Christmas coming up, so it's going to get stronger.
Yes.
It's a very stressful time when you talk about all family getting together. Even if you all get along well and you all love and adore each other, it's still a stressful time because you put that many people together that know you for so long. They know where all those buttons are to press without even having to try. So you go from 0 to 1,000 just like that.
Yes.
So I have something I'd like to add there. So when it comes to you and your additional ancestral connection, I think it's time for you to take the power of your cell phone camera or a camera and start taking pictures of like an old tree near you, a beautiful plant before winter comes that's in some kind of bloom, and start making a collage of these ancestral medicine beings who are in standing people scenarios. They're growing roots in this world. They are your everyday ancestors that work with you, the bush out front of your house, all of those things that greet you in their own way, or you greet them in your own way. You can make a photo collage of all of those ancestors and begin a process of communication to that montage in whole.
I see.
And making that a central focus for a while. And then as you get better and better at taking pictures and sending energies to all of those beings simultaneously, they'll communicate back to you as you walk past them on your regular route or whatever. It could be a particular tree you see on the way to work It's an old tree that's been there forever and watched millions of cars go on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And all you got to do is pull over one day and take a picture of it. That's it. Acknowledge its existence through your taking of that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient rock formations. All of those things are direct connections, so the ancestors have additional vision to send back to you that won't trigger a ghosty type feeling.
Right. Oh, that's interesting because I take a walk every day to the park. It's kind of my contemplation time. And I do kind of, I take off my shoes and I kind of connect with the trees. And there I do have a very old tree near me. But in the park, there's a whole collection of these rock, we call it a rock garden. And there's a spot that I picked for my morning contemplation, which is between an oak tree and another tree that was actually struck by lightning. And I didn't realize it until months after I had been in this morning routine. But I just was drawn to this spot between these two trees by these rocks. And so I'm doing a bit of that process already, Andrew, it seems like.
Now you just got to take it to the next level where in your home is as a montage of that entire area, pictures of that entire area. So then when you're at your home, you can begin to simulate that energy and then actually be in that energy through your active creation of connection to it and prayers to it.
Okay.
It is a sacred grove.
Right.
And there are many, many other sacred groves out there that would love for you to take off your shoes and just sit there next to them under their canopy, contemplating the world. A montage of all the sacred groves in your area. That's something to build to because it means you actually physically found them.
Right. Now, do you see me having lifetimes in this area, and that's why I was so drawn here in the first place?
In the South Florida area, you've had a tremendous amount of lifetimes there. Not all of them are the positive, and this is kind of why you're there, because you want to resolve all of the stuff that's less than positive. You originally came to the South Florida area when you were part of the team looking for the Fountain of Youth. Now, there were more than one team. So, Ponce de Leon is the one that, in historical expression, is the common person that led people. There were several other expeditions pre- and post-Ponce de Leon that were connected to very negative factions. And you were part of that negative faction that came here to find the Fountain of Youth, to steal it from this area, and then bring it back to other sources to create everlasting lineages, lizard lineages, etc., etc. And you knowingly were a part of this back then. This is what has given you this overwhelming urge to be there, because there are ancient artifacts all over the Florida peninsula. It's so ancient that the power within them has required them to build military bases and underground facilities around them to keep their power in check. And now that you are on the surface, with this new state of information that you have related to the sacred groves will connect to all the sacred underground sources, the sacred cenotes, the water sources, the sinkholes, etc., etc. They will be your map to unravel the energy of your local grid so that you can release it from the system itself. That's ultimately what you're here to do in South Florida, is to do grid working on your local scale so that your local environment is no longer being pressed upon sacred geometry energy, because you've taken the time to do ceremonies and rituals in the sacred groves to reconnect the sacred groves to their underground aquifers.
Oh, that is very interesting. I've listened to older shows, Andrew, when you have talked about, say, when the Masons did the Mason lodges did the grid work, or in the my goodness, I want to say the 50s or something, and they put those markers,
Yep.
all around. I have found some of those in my area, and I haven't done anything with those markers because I was still a little gun shy. It's like, I know there's something I need to be doing here with this, but I wasn't quite.
You're referring
ready.
to the Boy Scout markers and the little concrete pyramids that were put everywhere. Yes.
Yes, I found some, because you could. I did
They're
what
everywhere.
you had said, and I went online and I was able to find some of them. So there's there's actually a water tower for our town right on the grounds of a Mason lodge a Mason's. Yeah. So I found that that's really interesting. So all of these things I've observed and and definitely feel a connection here. And I also know that I've had a very mixed past. I didn't know whether it was we all have, but
we all have, yeah.
Simply because I also have AB negative blood, and so I know that that's kind of an indication of a few things. So I've been connecting dots, but wasn't quite sure how to put it all together in terms of, okay, what do I do now? What do I do with this information and these senses and these feelings that I have, and also this sense of wanting to do something to kind of remedy, to resolve.
I've got a good set of suggestions for you. Okay. So the first thing is you've got to realize that you are going to be a self-taught grid worker. And being a self-taught grid worker means you have to give yourself your own learning curve. So you need to give yourself some techniques that makes grid working easier. First thing is you have to work at the small scale, which is your local bedroom, which is the four corners of your bed and the four corners of your room. That's your first two scales, where you're going to literally impress a like graph paper grid on the four corners of the wall and then the four corners of your bed. And that graph paper symbiology is going to say, so section A2 on the left wall, you instantly know that you are putting a full contract revocation in there. So you may break it down to 10 sections in your room, the four walls, the ceiling and the floor, so that each grid section has an individual imprinted expression of your boundaries. Okay?
Okay.
So once you've made that grid, your next layer is the places that you work. For example, if you have to drive to an office, you will want to put grid on your chair and the floor of your chair, the connecting there. So you, at some point, have a form of ancestral connection to your grid. So whatever is going through your work is your work. Now, your not work, which is doing grid work, will require you to learn the pendulum or muscle testing or divining rods, or all three if you can. What that will do, when you come to an environment, you're going to use physical maps of your area to look where roads intersect so that you can start adventuring to your local areas to literally feel with your own physical body what the densities of the energies are. Take pictures of that area and then return to your home and use those pictures to then alter the energy of the area.
Oh. Now, how is this connected to the sacred grove? I mean, it's all connected to the sacred groves.
Right.
But
the sacred groves will be the nexus points around roadways, bridges, homes, etc., that when you stand there will be the gossip ladies of the local environment telling you who's been naughty and who's been nice and what they need from your remote projection, because you're going to be interacting with their canopies of energy, which then amplify your energy of clearing the grid.
Got it. Okay.
So the next skill is you need to get a pretty detailed map of your local area. And there are maps out there. Just print them out and be willing to draw and write on them. Okay?
Okay.
Be willing to say, all right, over here is a sacred grove that I visited October 1st in 2015, and the next time I haven't been there's there. That is going to be your diary of places that you've gone. So when you go to reflect back to do grid work, you have a general impression of what's 5-7 miles around you, so that you can clear the 5-7 miles around you. So then it amplifies you more, so you can act 10, 20, or 50 miles away. Because you will discover as you clear Sacred Grove and Sacred Grove, you will get intense callings to go to other places, because all of the roots of the trees interact all over the world.
I see.
And you're going to be invited into that underground and above ground tree world to be a free-willed, not mercenary, land cleaner. Okay?
And what's the difference? I mean, when you say not mercenary, there's a clear difference between a free-willed and a...
You became in originally as a mercenary under the Ponce de Leon contracts.
Got it.
You are there to plunder, use your wisdom to plunder. You're not going to be plundering. You're only going to be giving back change to it, so that each time you give something, an energy to a sacred grove, you're giving it a facilitation of letting go of dense energy by you acting as the frequency to create the portal. So whatever it is dissipated back into the atmosphere and then turned back into a weather pattern. The trees are your alchemy. Yeah, the trees are your alchemy.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have I live right above where I work, and there's a big tree here. So this is kind of like ground zero. It seems like my starting point.
Mm-hmm. So Kathy, Kathy, is there anything that you want to add?
Oh, I'm just everything you said. I'm like, wow. Oh, it's exciting times to be you. I don't know if I really have anything to add. I mean, that's a lot for you to take in, a lot for you to go ahead and do. I really like the idea of the photos. Just that grounding and the old tree. It's like, it reminds me kind of like the old grandfather clock, watching time go by. Just imagine all the stories it could tell and how long it's been around, things like that. I really resonate a lot with the looking back in time, taking photos of it, capturing times that have gone and times that are watching you now, and then contemplating the times that are coming up. Mm-hmm. I think you're at a very exciting time of your life as well. I mean, I see a lot of activity around you. I think that you're going to find that next year a lot, and early next year, there'll be a lot of opportunities that come your way where, one way of looking at it is you could say you're spoilt for choice. The other way of looking at it is like, oh no, what am I going to do? There's too much choice. If there's only A or B, it makes it easy. Do I go for the money or the door? But you'll find that it's actually quite empowering to have so many choices offered to you. And just trust me when I tell you this, you will make the right choice. It doesn't matter what we say. Instinctively, I can see you're going to make the right choice for you. So
thank you.
Don't be overcome by all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. This is just kind of endeavoring to begin. This is quite exciting to me. Even as we sit, I'm picturing some of the places that I think I would like to visit. I get around on bicycle, so the whole process is going to be really quite nice. I don't have to do it in a car. I'll do it on my bicycle. So I'm looking forward to walking or biking to my destinations. So thank you so much.
I got a question for you. Have you ever carved your name into a tree?
I believe that I did when I was very, very young. It was a tree of my childhood. Yeah.
Okay. I want you to give yourself the gift again. It's important. The tree will tell you if it wants to have your name carved on it and a date. Okay? Give yourself that gift. You need to reconnect to that, because when you carved your name into that tree, it was very spiritually significant to that tree. Okay?
Yeah, okay. I remember it distinctly. The trees were very big in my childhood, so there were a number of them. But I remember doing that at least once. Okay. So, all right, I think about trees now, and I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to.
Exactly. You're not hurting them. You're asking them. You're asking them.
Okay.
Because you are going to be dispelling fraud time for yourself and that tree. Okay.
In the carving of the name on the tree.
With the date, correct.
With the specific date, so day, month, year.
Exactly.
And my name.
And time if you want to. And time also.
Wow.
Okay? Okay. You will be doing greatness for that tree and yourself as long as you go through the muscle testing a process of acting what tree wants it. And you may discover this becomes a regular thing for you. And if it does, instead of doing date and time, make an emblem that represents you, like a circle with some squares in it, or something that just represents your signature frequency with the date after it.
Okay.
Okay, you'll be doing great gifts. So as I was saying before, make sure you learn muscle testing. Make sure you start to use dowsing rods, and that you try to use the pendulum. The pendulum, so when you are using the detailed local city map, combined with muscle testing, will show you right away where you need to take walks or bike rides to just to feel the energy. So at a later date, you could go back and look at your notes and go, there was some, homeless energy there that needs love, or there was this sense of dread energy there because of a car accident, or there was just a bunch of positive energy there that just needs to be spread around.
Got it. Yeah. It sounds like a wonderful adventure, Andrew and Kathy. So I look forward to it, and I'll keep you posted on my adventures.
Thanks a lot, darling. You are really going to have a special time out there. Those trees have just gifts waiting for you.
I'm looking for. I can feel it already. So thank you so much.
Hi, darling. You take it easy.
All right. Bye.
Wow, Kathy, you and we've just had some exciting callers.
I know. I mean, and also, the ancestry stuff, so interesting.
That is our music, a perfectly done show. Once again, we will be back next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again. Has been another episode of Adventures into Reality. Take it easy, everyone.